Hi everyone. Thank you for joining today's live. If you are here for the first time, you're just joining us for the first time. This is the Study in the UK Life Clinic. This is where we talk about everything study in the UK. You're planning to study in the UK, you don't know where to start from. One thing you can do for yourself is try to look out for this particular session. It is going to help you a whole lot. This is where we talk about everything that has to do with studying in the UK. Today, sorry, my name is Olaumi from Team Consultancy UK. Today we'll be talking about January intake. So basically, my topic for today is January intake starts now, right? And then part of the things I'll be talking about is that why starting early gives you an advantage. So you know that it's not just about planning. It's not just about thinking, oh, I want to do this thing. It is actually about acting, getting started. So now, welcome everyone. So today I want to ask a question and maybe at the same time answer the same question. Why do why do students wait? Like why do students actually waste time? Because honestly, I've realized that some students actually just waste time. But now that January intake is opened and we've been getting a lot of inquiries from students, some things that I've realized. And then the reason why this topic is very important for today is the fact that so many people have no idea when to start, right? So many people have no idea when to start. So what I mean by so many people have no idea when to start is that I had a conversation with a student that is planning to study in the UK, and then she goes, I want to go for January intake, but when it is time. And then I'm like, when it is time, do you realize September intake is coming to an end and January intake is opened already? Then she goes with another question, and when they say January intake, what does it even mean? When am I supposed to even start anything because I'm going for January intake? Some students understand the intake. They understand that, oh, we have three major intakes in a year: January, May, then September. But they don't even know when to start their planning, right? She was thinking if they say something is January intake, it means that I have to wait for January to start. Or maybe start by December so that I can go for January. So one thing we've realized is a lot of people do not know when to start. So if you are planning to go for January 2026 intake, um now is the time to start. You that you have it in your mind to go for January intake, January 2027 intake, right now is the time to start. Right? You're thinking, why am I starting now? This is still August. I'm talking about January 2027. So if you realize that, oh, some students will be traveling next month, which is September. So if you have any friend or any family member who is traveling for September intake, they are traveling to the UK next month, do well to ask them when did they start their process. So they are going for September intake. They did not start their process by they didn't start yesterday. They didn't start the process this August. No. This is something some of them have been on as far back as May, right? Some people have been on it since. So you don't have to, if you don't know when to start, one thing you can do for yourself is always look out for us. So if you're on this live right now, you would see like a link in the comments. What you can do is click on that link to book a one-on-one session with us, and you can ask all your questions, those things that you are not clear about. You don't know, oh, when am I even supposed to start if I'm going for a particular intake? So in the real sense, right, in the ideal sense, you are supposed to start your process as early as 6 months prior to when that intake is. So let's assume you want to go for January intake. Now is the best time to start, right? Schools are rounding up September intake and now they are opening applications for students to start submitting applications for January intake, right? So when it comes to studying abroad, right? Study abroad is a journey that you can't wait, right? Waiting can deny you of so many things. Waiting for the wrong time can just, rip you of so many things. So many things you would have benefited from if you had started earlier. So you that you're watching me right now, if you don't know when to start your process for January intake, now is the time to start your process. You want to go for January intake, you start now. If May 2027 is your, that is when you're planning to start. Of course, you know that after January intake, you're supposed to start. So it means by January 2027, you are also supposed to start your process. So you cannot exactly wait till that particular month before you get started. You need to start earlier. That's number one. So right now, I'll be moving to the advantages of starting early because I have a lot of students who would be like, oh, I'm going for January intake. I don't want to rush. I'm not ready to start my application yet. Apart from the fact that I've said it, that now is the right time to start. I feel like students now need to know the advantages of starting early. Maybe when you get to know these advantages, you'd understand exactly what I'm saying. So number one advantage is more university options. So the thing with starting 9 minutes, let me paint a perfect picture, a perfect example of starting late. Do you know that even this month of August, we are still getting students who wants to go for September intake? We are trying all our possible best to still be able to fit in these students for September intake. And the reason why you might be wondering why, if it is, people that understand, you'll be like, why start August when you're going for September intake? Some students, have their bank statements running. Some students have actually they've made plans, they've spent on some things and they just really want to push. Let me see if I can still make it for September intake, right? So that all the money I've spent will not just go to waste. So we are trying all our possible best. Few schools that were still opened till I think about August 3rd or something. We still try to submit those applications. And then if you know team consultancy, one thing is that we have this, really good relationship with most of our partner schools, right? So when you submit application, you are sure to get your offer in the next 28 to 48, 24 to 48 hours. So yeah, we were still able to put in some applications for the last minute students. But if honestly you want to ask me, even you as a student, you don't want to put yourself in that situation. So if you are coming last minute like that, you don't have options of universities, because I'm just going to tell you, some universities have closed since the beginning of July, since mid-July, and then maybe ending of July. So we have just very few schools who still have applications opened up until August 3rd, right? So we're just going to recommend to you, this is the only option we have. This is the only school you have. Mind you, this school might not be in the location you would have wanted. This school might not even be one of the schools you have researched, one of the schools you have dreamed that you want to go to. So when I say more university options, this is exactly what I mean. So imagine yourself starting early. Imagine you've started since May. You have all the university options. You have all the time in the world to research, to go through them one by one. Okay, let me check this school out. Let me check the location. Let me check the cost of living in this area. Let me check networking in this area. Let me check, opportunities in this area. You have time to do all of that. But the moment you're waiting till the very last minute to start, you are not going to benefit from this, from having more university options. So number one advantage of this is you have more university options, and then this should give you the chance to be able to choose what you really wanted, not just what is available to you at the time. So what starting early does for you is that it gives you more freedom to compare your option instead of settling for what is left, right? Think of it like shopping. You arrive at a store and then, everything has just opened. You have more options to choose the fresh ones, to choose the best one, the best flavor of everything. Imagine. And then you arrive at when the sale is almost over. You're going to just have the option of picking, the leftovers and all of that. So that's exactly what I mean when I say you have more university options. The number two advantage is better financial planning. So something I mean, what I mean when I say better financial planning is that, so imagine a student, the set of student I'm still talking about from the first point, right? Student that they are going for September intake, but they came to us August 1st, July ending, right? So imagine what financial planning. Forget, oh, maybe they have the money. There are a lot of things that would happen along the line. There are a lot of things that would happen, and then you won't be able to put it in anymore. You won't have time to plan yourself financially the way you would have wanted to plan yourself. Your finances, financial planning is one very important step. It is one very important thing in your study abroad journey. And this is why we tell students that you cannot just say, oh, I'm ready to now study abroad because you have the required documents, because, oh, you feel like, oh, I know the school I want, I know what I want and all of that. That's not how it works. If you're ready, you have all the required documents and everything. One very important thing again is to have, you know, the finances. You are financially ready, right? So you don't have the time to actually plan your finances very well. So instead of rushing to gather funds, right, you won't be able to work towards a realistic goal. You won't even be able to do so many things, right? So you won't have the time to actually properly plan. So this is what not starting early would have done for you. All right. Another point again, another advantage of starting early is less stress during the application process. You have no idea what what I mean by less stress during the application process. Students that are starting very late, they really go through a lot of stress. Okay, so yes, we tell you that here at Team Consultancy, we help you and all of that. But you need to know one thing, that the situation of studying abroad right now, you are not left out as a student. Even if you have the capable agency handling it for you and all of that, there's nothing like somebody is handling it for you. You are also fully involved 100%. So you might have applied to a school where documentation is like number one for them. They want to, if you have submitted a document that is not properly signed, they want you to take it back, sign it the proper way, and then resend it. They want everything updated, right? They want, oh, everything you are giving them should be the financial official copy and all of that. So yeah, students that are starting late, all of these things, this back and forth with the school is a lot of stress for students that are starting late. But imagine you have started earlier. Even if a school is coming back to you 10 times to want a particular document, there is time. So you are more relaxed to get your document. You are more relaxed to do, a lot of these things, right? So you have the time to do a lot of things, request for reference letters. If they say your personal statement is not satisfactory, you have time to work on your personal statement, to just work on it to make it the best of the best, right? You have time to compare with another person who is, doing the same thing with you. You can compare your process. You can just actually do a lot of things. A lot of things are possible if you start your process earlier. So yeah, part of the advantages of starting early is less stress during application, right? Another advantage now is better accommodation. So now if you have started early and then you are not doing last minute, you are not starting last minute, you have the time to research accommodation in your school area. If you don't want the school, the accommodation the school is probably providing, you want from the private organization. We discussed different types of accommodation the other day. Yeah, you have more time to check for all of these things to get the best, of the best. Students who leave accommodation until the last minute, they have fewer choices, and then there is much more pressure. And then one thing you also need to keep in mind, one thing you need to realize is that where you live can influence your entire student experience. So don't leave it as a afterthought, right? As you are starting your process, as you are starting early, please include accommodation. Carry accommodation along, have it in mind that yes, accommodation is one thing I will not ignore during this process, because it is not something you leave for the last time. That is even for students who had started early. So imagine you are starting late. You have a lot of things on your plate, and then you just keep pushing accommodation away because, oh, I have other things to do. Accommodation, when I get to the UK, I'll sort that out, and that might be a big, big, big mistake. So yeah, accommodation, better accommodation for you as a student if you start your process early. Another advantage is you have time to build confidence. Guys, this cannot be overemphasized, honestly. You have time to build confidence because one of the biggest advantages of starting early isn't something you can measure. Honestly, the confidence comes from your preparation. When you understand your course, you understand your university, your finances, and your plan, you naturally feel more confident in what you're doing, right? That confidence, it helps, throughout your journey from university interviews to visa preparation and finally settling into the UK life. Guys, you have time to build confidence. You can't joke with this thing I just said, because you know now that 99.9% of all the UK schools you're applying to would have to do a precast interview with you. So imagine you are starting last minute. How would you have time to research your school, research your course, why the university, why the UK? How would you have time to actually answer all of these questions if you are starting late? Precast interview has become a big deal to so many students, and that's because poor planning. The last time we talked about precast interview here, why students panic and all of that, because we have like a capable team, we have like a dedicated team for the PCI, and it is quite a process, because some students, because we do series of mock after we have introduce you to what they call precast interview, explain everything there is to know about precast interview, then we now start doing mocks with you. So this mock would help us know how you have understood what precast interview is and how ready you are for the exam, I'm sorry, for the interview with the school. So we will do series of mock with you, and then trust me, we have some students who would take as much as 10 mocks. So imagine doing repeated mocks. This is not because the students have problems, it's because you don't even realize you don't know some things until you get to that point when you're doing it. Some students don't know, oh, they get scared during maybe an interview and all of those things. Maybe in your life you've never had to like sit in front of somebody and then they are asking you questions, or maybe you just panic when you are in that kind of situation. For some people, it takes time to build confidence, and this is why starting early is super important. Because if this is who you are, sorry, one thing we do here is also help you build your confidence. But if we're trying to do that, it is not something we can do in just a week, because oh, you have started so late, there is no time to help you and all of that. So we are available to help you, but we also need time to do all of these things. For these things to be properly done, we need that time. And this is where starting early comes in. Starting early comes in when you are prepared, when you are fully prepared. So one of the greatest advantages of starting early is actually that you would be able to build your confidence. So when you start early, I said it earlier that you would have time to research your universities and all of that. So those researching you are doing from the very beginning, it will come back to help you during your precast interview, because you have researched a lot of things. By the time you now have to do precast interview, you know so much about the school you're applying to. You know so much about your course, how that course you are going to do is going to up your career, how it connects to you, a lot of things, why you want to study in the UK and all of that. And then to be able to do this, you need confidence. So that confidence is something you build over time when you start your process early, right? So we are approaching the end of this live session today. And then if you want to go for January intake, please do not hold back anymore. If you're trying to get some documents from your university, please push harder to get your documents. Push harder to get your transcripts. And please, 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 and please, if you're getting transcript from the school, always ensure it is the official copy to avoid back and forth from the school. Because yes, maybe for the sake of the application, the school is going to accept the student copy that you have with you. If it is the student copy that you have, please proceed with application and try to get the official transcript from your school, right? If document is what is delaying you, please push for your documents. Push for your document, get your documents on time so you can proceed to study. You can proceed to start your application for January 2027 intake. So we as an agency, we as an organization also, we need time. Like I said, we need time. So this is more like I'm begging. This is more like begging and then pleading with you guys to please send in your documents on time so that we'll be able to start with your application for January 2027. All of this would help us so much during the entire process, your pre-CAT interview, and mind you, if £4,000 deposit is your budget, we have something for you. Here at Team Consultancy, we have something for you. Any location you want in the UK, we have something for you. So don't worry, book a one-on-one session with us at Team Consultancy. We'll be sure to find you what you want. If you want to go for January 2027 intake, right? Now is the time to start. So before we come to the end of the live session today, I'm going to, paint a scenario for you. So if you are joining this live session last minute, the essence of what I've been talking about, everything I've been talking about is just so that the next intake is January 2027. And it is no longer, oh, when it is January intake, I'll start. It is right now. You want to go for January intake, you've been talking about from the beginning of January 2026, you'll be saying, oh, I will do January 2027. But now is the time to now start your application for January 2027. So I want you to imagine two people. Let's name one person Mary, and then name the other person Tunde, right? So Mary started planning in August. She researches university, gets her transcripts, renew her passport, asks questions, and then saves gradually. Then Tunde says, I will start in November. January is still far. By November, remember, Mary had already gotten offers from the school. She has submitted offer conditions, she has even gotten unconditional offer. Now she's preparing for a precast interview because of course she has to pass her precast interview and maybe she needs, time to be able to research and learn everything that she needs to learn, right? Mary is already at that point. So Sunday that started November is just trying to decide on which university. Remember Tunde started in November. We have November, December before January. Started with, researching universities. The truth about this scenario I'm trying to paint here is now that they both had the same dream. They both dream of studying in the UK, but one of them had a plan. Who is the one with a plan? That's Mary, of course, right? That's why today's message is so simple. Don't wait until January intake feels close before you start preparing for it. January intake does not have to be, oh, next month is January before you start preparing. And then you know something about January intake. There is December before January, right? December, that is when all the festivities is happening, all the parties that you want to attend. Imagine you have started this whole process. The thing is, by January, you want to be out of Nigeria studying in the UK, but you have started all this process on time. And then by December, that you want to go and do dirty December, all you have to do is just enjoy your December. Enjoy, December with your family, with your friends, proper sent forth party organized for you because you're leaving by January, right? So that's like the point of what I'm saying. Early start is super, super important when it comes to study abroad. Study abroad, it is not the other day when the student was like, oh, but it is January intake. I was shocked, honestly, but at the same time, one thing we don't do here at Team Consultancy is assume that you know. Because trust me, what you don't know, and you won't be blamed for what you don't know, right? This is why we are here, to show you, to make some things clear to you, what you don't know, to make it clear to you. So if you are going for a particular intake, you are not supposed to wait till a month to that intake before starting. You are supposed to start 5 6 months earlier before that intake, to avoid any sort of delay, to avoid you going through so much stress. And guys, the thing with UKVI right now, the process has become stricter, right? The process has become stricter, but it is not like the process. It is not that, to study in the UK is now impossible. No. So that is one narrative that is circulating right now. Oh, UKVI this, UKVI that. You might be considering another study destination if you want to go to the UK abort mission. I don't want you to think like that. I don't want you to have that thinking. I don't want you to be part of those people that would begin to carry that narration up and down, that it is impossible to now study in the UK because of the strict, rules of the UKVI. So the rules are very strict. But do you know the rules? Right? If you know the rules, you just know that one thing is super important. Everything is now important. Everything from A to Z is important. And what you have to do is start early so you can get to each stage on time. You have time to do what you have to do at each stage before moving to the next one. If you start late, you are bound to make mistakes, you are bound to failure, because you won't have time to. I'm sure there are a lot of students who failed their precast interview, honestly, failed precast interview just because they didn't start on time and there was no time. Yes, I understand that some people are working with agency that is not keeping them informed. Right now, precast interview is not even something you are just supposed to go and do on your own. Like I said, we have a dedicated team for this. So we provide material for each student according to the course they have studied, the course they are going to study. So the situation is different for everybody, because everybody is not going to study the same course and everybody is not going to the same school. So your questions, everything is going to be different. So imagine you are getting lectures, you are getting the trainings as per what is concerned with you, as per what you want to go and do, right? This is what we do at Team Consultancy UK. When we are talking about personalized, consultation, this is what you do. It is particular to you what you want to study, and then we do this for you. We help you from the beginning to the very end, and our service is 100% free. So we won't say because we want to take you through your precast interview and all of that, you should pay us. No, you are not paying us a dime. Okay, as a student, we have done the introductory session with you, and now you're supposed to be doing your mock. Maybe you've had like 2 mocks. We feel, we don't think you're good to go yet. You still need to do better in this area and do better in this area. Trust me, if it takes 20 mocks for you to be ready, we will go through that with you. And you are not supposed to pay us a dime for doing all of this for you. It is totally free. So what is it going to cost you to come to an agency where everything is done for you for free, and everything is done in the best possible way? The best way possible, because you are getting the top notch service when you come to Team Consultancy UK. Guys, you're going to be seeing me again next week, and then by next week I'm going to be coming with another topic that will be very, very important. Trust me, very, very important topic for next week. So do well to join this live again next week. And then if you're going to be seeing this live much, much later, you're going to be watching the replay, you have the plan to study in the UK, please do not hesitate to reach out to us so that you can get your application started. Thank you for doing the live session with me today. See you next week.